You guys really don't know when it's good or bad when it comes right down to it. You really don't know because you don't know what we're trying to do. You guys don't look at the films. You don't know what happened. You really don't know. You think you know, but you don't know, and you never will.
To come home, because I have a very special love.
The media public doesn't know. You guys don't know. Sometimes it won't. I can tell you it won't be good, and you'll see it won't be good. Sometimes you'll think it's good, and it isn't any good. Sometimes you'll think it's bad, and it was pretty darn good. Sometimes you'll think it's bad, and it was bad. But basically, you really don't know.
Welcome back, Beta Boys Weekly podcast here. Packers lose again, 40-33. But our boy Jordan Love, it was at least a spark, a bit of excitement that way. We'll get to him in a little bit. I'm gonna let you get a little bit of this off your chest, maybe be a little catharsis here, Dad. But how are you coping with the Joe Barry affair?
Well, I've tried to transcend, and I've been on this Joe Barry thing since week one. I was kind of prescient and ahead of the curve on that. But what I've done is try to look at the overarching bigger picture. I'm actually pretty excited if I try to visualize 2 to 4 years down the road. And who knows, but golly, it sure looks nice to have a quarterback throwing to a Christian Watson, a couple of young guys, a Romeo Dobbs, and then you go to the sideline and you see Tanyan coming over to sit by Love and actually talking to the quarterback instead of the quarterback sulking over in the corner and throwing. I guess Rodgers doesn't throw pads like Brady, but you get that aloof business. So I'm very encouraged about that possibility, and clearly Joe Barry's going to be replaced. I guess we can get into that a little later on, but it's very quizzical why Matt LaFleur tolerates this kind of incompetence when you know darn well the bottom half of the roster is replaced every week. Somebody new is being brought into camp because we got to find a better performer. So I'll let Schmitty talk a little bit, and we can circle back to that discussion on Barry a little later.
Yeah, well, Schmitty, I found myself uh, or having it become more difficult to root for Aaron Rodgers here. He's obviously done a lot of great things for us. It wasn't hard to be pulling pretty hard for Jordan Love there at the end. Do you feel a little bit of what I'm talking about there?
Uh, sure, but I think you get to have both, right? They both play for the Green Bay Packers. So when I saw Aaron Rodgers rip that one into Randall Cobb, right? For a touchdown. I mean,
Yep,
that's just vintage Aaron. I mean,
it was.
it was so sick to see him put one in there like that. And so it just proves that he still has it. He's now has more he's more of a risk uh for plays that he used to never used to see come out of him before, missing balls, flying balls over a guy's head, just silly things like that. But when you get to see him rip one in there, it's awesome. It's within him. Um, but then when he goes out and he's walking into the locker room, and Jordan Love comes out there, hits Watson on what was a fantastic play, a lot of Watson. Um, it was impressive. You're like, okay, he put one on Aaron Jones up the sideline that Aaron Jones should have caught. So he had some really nice plays. But I think as a Packers fan, you get to enjoy both. It's it's a present and future look at what the Green Bay Packers are, and I'm okay with the present right now. Uh, if Aaron Rodgers is still playing quarterback for us, but watching Jordan Love, you couldn't help but think what this team could be in just a couple short years. Because I'm still holding steady that Aaron will play for us next season.
Yeah, what impressed me on that Watson play we just had up there, obviously we know about the foot speed, but to see it in live action where, multiple guys seem to have a decent angle, but still, I'm thinking he might just outleg these guys, and then he did it. That was a cool one to see. Like you said, Schmitty, the vintage Rodgers throw in the first half to Cop. What was that, first half or second half to Cop there?
That was
Uh,
first.
that's what
That
I
was
was
first.
thinking. Yeah,
Yeah.
was brought us back immediately. I think I turned to you, Dad, and said, "When's the last time you saw him make a throw like that?" It had been a while, and like you say, Schmidt, he showed that he still has that, even though it hasn't been, something we've seen as regularly as we're previously used to here. That said, this was a fun game. It was a loss, so it's not fun in that way, but it was back and forth, up and down, a lot of scoring and so forth that way. After this one, of course, the playoff chances get pretty slim. We're not mathematically eliminated here, but it would be quite a road back. Where would you put the goals in what should be the goals for the rest of the season, and what would be sort of a measuring stick that we should compare things to as we finish out here, Dad?
Well, I just have to say that I'm glad Schmitty is all excited about sticking with Aaron Rodgers, but I have to point out in the most critical moments in recent history, including this game, right before the end of half, you got a chance to put some points on the board. You don't get it done. But coming out of the second half, you got a chance to put some points on the board. You don't get it done. And Aaron is just not playing up to the standard when we need it most. And we've seen that over and over again. We've recounted many times the playoff inadequacies over the past couple of years when we needed them. And I'm ready to move on. I just feel like it's been a great career with the guy. The future's right there in front of us. I would certainly not want to see Jordan Love leave the Packers in lieu of having to keep Rodgers around for 2 more years. And uh, so, from that standpoint, and looking toward, and I would say this, I would add this too. Why does Aaron Rodgers get? He got hurt because he does not hit his back foot and get the ball out. He's still trying to play like a guy that's trying to slither through the cracks in the line, extend the play, do that old Aaron Rodgers stuff, the antithesis of Tom Brady. Why does Tom Brady never get hurt? The ball is out. He reads the field. He sees the guy. He takes the check down if it's there. He takes the yards. And it has been frustrating to watch Aaron hold the ball, hold the ball, hold the ball. Now he gets hurt because of it. So, for all those reasons, I would say that the rest of the season should be about seeing what you have in Jordan Love and figuring out what you got to draft next year and having some serious conversations with Aaron Rodgers about whether he wants to play next. If he does, where we can send him so he can have a good couple of years and finish up his career and we can move on.
Schmitty, would you prioritize, trying to still make the playoffs, given our slim chances at this point, or tanking in the NFL is obviously frowned upon. You got guys out there that risk head injury every week, so they aren't exactly going to go out there and lay down. But where do you kind of weigh those two maybe extremes?
Tanking in the NFL doesn't really get you much. It's not like a NBA draft where it's literally the only top three guys are worthwhile, and then you move on. Um, so you go for it. You still have a roster that's supposed to be good and take win some games. They're going to be favored in all but maybe one or two for the remainder of the season. So you play the games to win. I mean, a miraculous 9-8 season possibly gets you into the playoffs. If they lose again, right, it's all over. There's no mathematical chance for them to make the playoffs. But you don't just roll over. That's not what this is about. That's not, I don't think that's what this locker room is about. Um, and so you're going to you're going to get the best effort out of your players. I think Aaron's going to play on Sunday. Um, it's very possible. I know we brushed up on this a few weeks ago as to what it would look like if they were completely out of it come middle December. Would Jordan Love play? That might happen. You might get to see the last couple of weeks where Jordan Love actually gets to play if they're totally out of it. But right now, it's all systems go, and you try to make a run at it because it still can happen.
Yeah, well, I've maybe been on an extreme end of things here, and potentially the well was poisoned by our former third guest on the show, Nick Larson, who hasn't been here since his week one appearance. Um, but he soured me a little bit on Aaron Rodgers going back a while back here, and maybe even after the New Orleans Saints game last year, I was starting to get excited for Jordan Love. You see the logo at the bottom of the screen has been down there for quite a while now. Um, but as we come to the close of the season here, I'm more conflicted than I have been on this front. Um, because I think what sets us up best for the future, of course, is having the highest draft pick possible. And I've been wanting to see Love to see what we have in him for quite a while now. I think we saw everything we needed to see against the Eagles. Honest, I saw everything I needed to see. That was plenty, and I think Aaron Rodgers gives us the best chance to lose right now, especially if he's injured. So I think we might be in a decent situation to let him have his last hurrah. Hopefully, he can win a game or two and keep us alive for the playoffs. Or if it goes the other way, maybe just pride, we let him roll it out. Um, but I don't know. I think I'm okay with letting Rodgers run now. I saw everything I need to.
You want me to respond to that one or
Yeah,
Schmitty?
I want
Okay,
to
I'll
hear
let
your
Schmitty
thoughts.
cool off. I can see he was a little despondent over there.
He started the video, Gar, with a love tribute.
Yeah.
This is nonsense. Please put him in his place.
Well, I mean, I think we have to say, I actually was having this conversation with my brother and some others, and who were adamant that they had not seen anything out of Love to indicate he had any chance to be any kind of a performer. And the jury's still out. That one performance is not there. But I said this preseason, I saw a guy who's got a lot of things that you can't coach. He's got a rocket arm, clearly has arm talent. He's statuesque in the pocket. He can move around a little bit. He's got the right uh, stature back there, and he's over the line of scrimmage. Now, clearly he came into this game. They're playing a too deep shell. They're playing not to get beat. But if you notice, and probably because of the way we're playing, he hit the back foot and the ball was out. He was looking off the safety, coming back to the other side. And Schmidt, you have to admit, Aaron Rodgers has not been sharp. He would not have hit Watson in stride the way that Love did and allowed him to run across that field. We've seen way too many throws behind and front all over. Now, maybe it's the thumb. And we've seen Rodgers not seeing the field. So it's easy to get excited. The second string quarterback is always the most popular guy in town, right? And so you'd need to see it over a period of time, which is one of the reasons why we'd like to see it going forward. I think Schmidt's probably right. They will stick with Rodgers, and to some degree, he deserves that. But at some point in time, our chances now are listed at 2 to 3% to make the playoffs. I mean, come on. Um, I would hope that we would get to see Jordan Love. I think the bigger problem with this team, and it's somewhat of a not just personnel performance type of thing, but almost a psychological thing, is the total lack of confidence that the defense appears to have in their game plan, in their leadership by the defensive coordinator. And I think it's undermining the team. And I think it's a bad omen that Matt LaFleur has not got his pulse on this. Certainly, you're going to get rid of got rid of what, Kylan Hill, not long ago because he was poisoning the locker room. I'm sure Joe Barry's a good guy. It sure looks like he is. I'm sure he's a wonderful human being, but there is no confidence in him. And that cannot be allowed to stand in an NFL locker room. When you get to that point, we said it before. I was reading the article in the Athletic where LaFleur says we're all in this together, and it's never any one guy. Well, if it's never any one guy, why did you fire Maurice Drayton at the end of last year? It wasn't him. Look what happened. Now I'm getting excited. Look what happened when you hired the guy from Las Vegas. What do you say, Biasica, whatever his name is, and you bring in a couple of the guys who he wanted. You start to run his scheme. My gosh, does the kickoff return team look like the second coming of Travis Williams, 1967? For the love of God, it's unbelievable. So when you emphasize something, make the moves to correct it, you get results. And right now, you're not going to get any results out of Joe Barry. I've had it, I'm done with it, and I'm about ready to email 1265 Lombardi like I had to do for Ron Wolf when he hired Ray Rhodes and see if we can't get a change there. Come on.
They didn't quite heed your advice when you sent the email regarding Ray
Well,
Rhodes there, but no,
I
that
asked Ron Wolf, please, Mr. Wolf, before you, nothing against Ray Rhodes, but before you hire Ray Rhodes, interview Brian Billick, Gary Kubiak, and I had three others. I can't remember now. It's quite a while ago. And then you get done interviewing all five of those guys and still think that Ray Rhodes is the guy, by all means, hire him. But we know it wasn't. And Ron Wolf listened to me. It was just took him a year to figure it out. So come on, LaFleur, don't take a year to figure. Tell you now, I'm right here trying to help you out. Joe Barry has to go. Goodbye. Start over. Wish him well. He's paid through the end of the year. He'll have a nice Christmas. He can be linebackers coach over there for Jacksonville or something.
yeah, I want to talk about the defensive coordinator a little bit more in just one second, but one more thing I wanted to touch on with Jordan Love is I saw a kid dropping back against the best team record wise in the NFL, literally licking his chops. That blew my mind. This guy was cool, calm, and collected. I don't know what the future's going to hold for him, but I'm nervous he's going to win too many games for us after Rodgers gets us eliminated from the playoffs. And at that point, I'd rather just see Rodgers limp his way home and call it a career and leave no doubts that it's time for him to move on. Schmitty, um, I'll let you respond to that, and then we'll talk about the defense.
Okay, thank you. If he plays well to end the season out, they won't let him walk. They'll get him on a contract. The contract will be pricey. The cap will look a little wonky next year because you have uh, both Aaron's getting paid, Jordan Love's getting paid. But t- there's not many teams that are in this situation where you have MVP and then you have a kid that you drafted in the first round and you want to see him play. I get you want to get to see him play,
I saw enough,
but
Schmitty. I saw enough.
no, I know you didn't see enough. You didn't see enough. It's not enough. What did you see enough when he played Kansas City last year? No,
No,
you saw a
he's
couple drives the following season. Now you're all giddy. It doesn't make any sense. I don't. Aaron Rodgers can decide how long he wants to play football, and the Packers should oblige him. He gets that right. I don't care if he misses balls left and right. It doesn't matter. He's brought so much to this franchise, to the organization. He gets to decide. Now it's the organization's right to decide what they're going to do with the quarterback that they drafted in the first round that shows some promise. So do that. I like the kid, but I like Aaron Rodgers. I think Jordan Love has all the talent. I think it's there. I see it too. That ball, that back shoulder to Aaron Jones, that really got
that
me
was a nice
excited.
ball.
He that licking of the lips, oh Lord have mercy, that was gorgeous. But Aaron Rodgers gets to finish out his career as a Green Bay Packer, and he will do so at the end of next season.
I
Next
really hope he rides
season.
off into the sunset at the end of
It
this year,
won't
makes it
happen,
easy on all
Griffey.
of us. He
It
doesn't
just
seem to be a guy
won't.
that makes it easy on anyone, though.
That's his MO, and he's allowed. He's the cool. He's the hunk. He's the cool Nick Cage character. He rolls in. He's John Wick. We love him to death for it. He gets one more season. Jordan Love gets a nice little contract because it's his fourth season. They gotta decide they're gonna tag him. They're gonna extend. They're gonna put him on his fifth year of his rookie contract, and they're gonna have to work out a deal for him. And it's gonna be expensive because if he plays well this season, that's all they're going to have to be able to base it off of in practice. So, and I don't mind that. And I don't think anyone should because he was a first round talent and he has shown leaps of progress. So, enjoy this. I think I think we're going to be set up well for the future, but enjoy what number 12 has done for you damn near the half of your lifetime. Enjoy that. Give him one more year. I don't want to see him go away. It's sentimental. You get to watch Aaron Rodgers play football for the team that you love. So let that happen one more time.
Well, I
All right, I'm done.
appreciate your sentiment regarding the sentimental nature of it all. Um, I don't think any of us are too particularly sentimental about Joe Barry, as we just heard my dad's feelings there. Schmitty, what's your feelings on the defense? And I got a name to throw out there for you, Jim Leonard. What is the status on him after he gets kind of passed by at Wisconsin? There is that something we reevaluate? What's your
Well,
overall feel on the defense?
the new ball coach for the Badgers said he would like to see or talk to Jim about what his role might be with the Badgers. So we can't rule it out yet that he would come back
Wow.
as the D coordinator for the Badgers, and that could happen. Um, as far as the defense goes, you have a lot of promising young players. I mean, um, the McDuffies. I like Jaron Reed's been in the league for a long time, but I thought he played well. Um, we missed so many tackles on Sunday, so many. And Quay Walker being a first round draft pick, what that first drive it was 3rd and 10 on their first drive. I was like, oh my god, I think we're gonna if we get this, we're in this game. Nope, the kid runs for 100 yards in the first quarter. Quay Walker is tackling air. He did have that nice fumble return, showed some athleticism. Um, I hopefully we never get to see Darnell Savage play for the Green Bay Packers ever again after he walked off in injury. That kid has nothing left. I liked him for his first couple of years. He really doesn't have much talent, does he? Um, but the defense is missing an All-Pro linebacker. You're missing your best player on defense, and Rashawn Gary. So it's hard to say based their performance, um, allowing 40 points and you having an inept defensive coordinator that doesn't put you in any of the right positions. But if you don't make many tackles, and LaFleur said that was the most missed tackles he's seen in his time with the Green Bay Packers, and it definitely was, probably by a large margin. You're going to allow 40 points. You're going to allow a quarterback to run all over you, a la Colin Kaepernick style. Um, so it's hard to really give him a grade. Don't miss tackles, and I think you might win a game or two. You might win this game uh, on Sunday, but uh, yeah.
Any names you're interested in currently, Dad? I don't know if you've had a chance to look at who's out there and rub your temples and so forth. But any early names or candidates you'd like to see us give a shot?
Jim Leonard. And I'd say
There we go.
there's 0% chance that Jim Leonard can you imagine being a head coach of a team and having somebody be hired over you and then subvert yourself to come back and be a defensive coordinator on that team? I can't imagine how that would
Well,
work.
and factor in too, Dad, that he turned down the Packers coordinating job because
Right.
he not only because he thought he was their apparent, but also because of just how much he loves Madison and the Badgers. So getting that head coaching job, I don't know if there's anyone who it could have meant more to. He's a walk on there from small town Wisconsin. Um, hey, more power to him if he can swallow his pride and just wants to stay in Madison. That maybe is the type of guy he is, but I'm with you. That seems tough.
You have to feel totally used and abused by the athletic director. And maybe the athletic director is right. I'm not saying that, but why did they fire Chris? Why did they fire him in the middle of the year if they were going to hire somebody else at the end of the year? It's just like they were using Jim Leonard as an insurance policy in case they couldn't get their guy from Cincinnati. And Leonard has nothing else to feel but used, abused, and misconfused. It's a terrible thing for him, and so that's why it would be interesting to see if he would reconsider the Packer job because he's an NFL player. He gets the NFL. He knows what it takes, and maybe he would want to do that now. So he would be one of the first one that comes to my mind. I don't pretend to be a guru on who's available in the NFL, but I know that Joe Barry was a bad hire. He failed in Detroit. He failed in Washington. It was a victim of the Peter principle, which is being promoted beyond your abilities. He's clearly a good position coach, but he cannot manage a team when the live bullets are flying. And so, yes, we do need to consider and go in that direction. As far as Schmidt's point on Rodgers, you know, uh, how many quarterbacks did not finish their team? Peyton Manning, Johnny Unitas, Philip Rivers, Matt Ryan, just a few off the top.
Joe
Brett
Montana.
Favre, Joe Montana, Brett Favre. This is probably very close to a Joe Montana kind of comparison. And um, I, I hear what Schmidt's saying, and I probably was in that camp a lot more. But I just embrace the future. Brett or Aaron Rodgers is not going to be playing in 2 years, and so if that's the case, let's move on. Let's get him somewhere where he can contend for a title, get whatever compensation we can, and get a nice draft choice to go with Jordan Love, and make this thing happen. That's where I'm at right now. But let's reserve the possibility that Aaron looks really good and something miraculous can happen. You know what? I don't see guys who relate to Aaron anymore. I don't see guys coming over to him on the sideline, feeling free to talk to him. I just think Jordan Love has that locker room, and I have the feeling they're ready to run through a wall for him.
Well, Joe Montana is an interesting comparison there. I think it's more like Joe Montana if he didn't get it done in any of the big games that he played in. Obviously Aaron got it done once early in his career, but I think the best comparison is Brett Favre, right? I mean, the situation that we had at the end of Brett Favre's tenure is so eerily similar. It kind of makes me a little sick to my stomach. The situation with the number of years with the young backup quarterback are the same. The parallels between what Aaron Rodgers did against the Cowboys after Brett got hurt is so similar to what we just saw Jordan Love do after not showing much previous to that. The ages of the quarterbacks are the same. I mean, everything there. And the one last similar aspect is that Brett Favre, late in his career, absolutely did not get it done in the big games. In fact, he was the number one contributor to our losses, which I don't think you could say strongly for Aaron. He didn't just straight up throw up all over himself in the frustrating ways like Favre did at times. But they both got a Super Bowl when they were young and have failed to do so in the latter portions of their career. So I think that's the best comparison. I think what Aaron does against Chicago here is going to be very interesting. We'll all, of course, be tuned for that. But the one thing I'm not terribly worried about, and maybe I will have to eat crow on this, but I am not worried about Aaron going out there and playing so well the rest of the season that we say, wow, we got to bring this guy back. I just don't see him doing that at this point. I marvel at his gutsy performance trying to stay out there. It actually hurt the team because we had to run the ball on a 3rd and 4 where we needed to try and throw for a touchdown because we ran out of possessions at the end. So he kind of hurt the team with his gutsy performance that way. But I still appreciate him going out there and laying it on the line. I think a healthy Aaron Rodgers has a tough time at this stage in his career, but certainly with the banged up thumb, which he says is getting better, plus an oblique, I just don't see him being terribly impressive. And if he is, more power to him. Maybe we have a different discussion at the end of the year. That said, let's focus on Chicago a little bit here. Schmitty, give us the Vegas inside scoop there, and then a little bit of a breakdown of how you see things going next week.
Well, as I pull up the line here, as I don't know what it is off the top of my head.
That's surprising. You usually
well,
have that down.
why it's not. You know why it's not up, Griffey? Is because of all the quarterback uncertainty.
Yeah.
Right. So we don't know if Aaron Rodgers is playing. They don't know if Jordan Love or.
So they haven't posted one.
They haven't posted a line that I've seen, and it likely won't be the case until tomorrow. Right, is when the first day where they post injury reports. So we might see something tomorrow. But if we all got to pick a line, we play guess the line. I would think the Packers are favored by 4.5.
Okay. Bears have
That's my
been
guess
better
line.
as of late. Justin Fields
They-
developing a little bit. It's certainly not a game. It doesn't feel like it it has so many times against Chicago the last couple of years.
Yeah, now if Rodgers doesn't play and Jordan Love doesn't play, I mean that game could be a pick 'em, right? No one really would know what to do there. Trevor Siemian going up against Jordan Love, that'd be a interesting one. Would be a good way for Jordan Love to dip his toes into the Green Bay Packers Chicago Bears rivalry. Wouldn't that be cool if he got his first win ever against the Chicago Bears? That'd be fun. I would enjoy it. You would love it. We'd see another video to start the Beta Boys next week.
Hey,
Um,
if they move the line in a favor towards the Bears because Jordan Love is playing, I'm gonna have to put some money on that game. Because I think that line is moving in the wrong direction if that's the case.
but the preview for the game, um, don't shoot yourself in the foot for the love of God. You had such a great special teams performance against the Eagles, that you'd love to see that come back on Sunday. Don't miss tackles. Uh, Give Aaron Jones the ball a bunch. I mean the Bears, they really they got some nice pieces on defense, and their offense. I still like their running game. I think they might have the best running game in the league, and I don't know how good we are at stopping the run. Um, so that'll be a test for the Packers. But I like the Packers just by a very small margin.
I got a fun stat for you here, Dad. Aaron Rodgers, more interceptions on the year than Justin Fields. I don't think anyone would have projected that coming into the season. That's kind of been Rodgers' MO, not turning the ball over. Of course, the Bears are smart enough to try and throw the ball as few times as possible with Justin Fields, and just let him run all over the place. Um, but how do you see this one going? And what's your prediction here?
Well, I've been a very poor predictor this year, and disappointed about that. But one thing I know for sure is the Packers gave up more yards to the Philadelphia Eagles than had been done since 1948. And
Is that
the
rushing yards or total yards?
rushing
Yeah.
yards,
Okay.
300 and some rushing yards, whatever it was. And last time I checked, the 85 Bears are not going to dress in Green Bay Packer uniforms this weekend. You do maybe have Devondre Campbell coming back. I think the Bears are sick and tired of being told they're owned by Aaron Rodgers, and I think you are going to get a Herculean effort out of the Bears. I would guess that Justin Fields is going to find some way to get his rear end out on the field, and he's going to run wild. And Aaron Rodgers is not going to come through in the big moments, which has become his MO lately, unless he gets hurt and Jordan Love comes on the field. The Bears are going to take care of the Packers 24-23.
Yeah.
That is that Soldier Field, right?
Um, that's my understanding. Yeah.
Yeah, an
Um,
away game.
yeah. No, it's tough to make this pick not knowing the quarterbacks, right? That certainly
Yeah,
factors into it.
yeah.
So we
And I
won't
want
hold
an
this.
asterisk on this pick if
Yeah.
they're not the starting quarterbacks aren't Fields and Rodgers.
I can my prediction might be the same either way for the Packers quarterbacks. I think the bigger one for me, honestly, is the Bears quarterback situation. The Packers have been, maybe over the
Yeah.
last 20 years, the worst team against rushing quarterbacks. So you go back to Mike Vick, 27-7 in the playoffs in the Brett Favre era. You go to the Kaepernick years. He set the record for rushing yards in a game in the playoffs against the Packers, but for the record was for any game. And then you see Jalen Hurts here, of course, too. So if Justin Fields is emulating that whatsoever, I think we're in for a rough night. And I think he probably does find a way to play. If that's the case, I think that defense is bad enough that it doesn't matter if we put Aaron Rodgers in his prime back there. It's going to be a close game, and he's certainly not in his prime form anymore. So I'm going to pick the Bears as well here. Also, conveniently, this would give me a chance to tie Schmitty, so we'll see if that strategy works out for me as well. As we kind of close down the segment here, thanks for joining us. I have one final thought, and that's moving forward. We're nearing the fantasy football playoffs here, right, Schmitty? And you almost got me in a tricky situation in our league that we play in together. You didn't, or you played Allen Robinson, who didn't play this week, and it almost allowed Parker to come back and beat you if it weren't for a Najee Harris injury. So things were getting a little bit hairy there. I'm trying to squeak my way into the playoffs. I ended up having a trade with Derek. He sent me Aaron Rodgers. I sent him Alan Lazard and Curtis Samuel. And the fourth player, he also sent me Chris Olave. So we had kind of a swap of receivers, and I took Aaron Rodgers as well. I don't know if Aaron Rodgers is going to make the team, but as we narrow things down here, my dad and I were talking before the segment about Rookie of the Year candidates. I saw another one who I believe is on your team, and that's Garrett Wilson. So we got a heck of a trio of wide receivers there between Olave, Christian Watson, and Garrett Wilson. Also have the running back for Seattle, Kenneth Walker there. Who is your favorite for that in the Rookie of the Year competition?
I really like Kenneth Walker. I would assume it is nice that we have one of the guys that's in the running in Christian Watson, but Kenneth Walker probably gets the nod from me. There's been a lot of nice rookie wide receiver play, but the Seahawks are a good team this year, and I don't think that's the case without the play of Kenneth Walker.
Yeah. Would be fun to see Watson, given his short period of play this year, if he could edge that one out, that'd be pretty impressive. Dad, we might have to do a little something to get you back into the fantasy football world again here.
Yeah, I retired the two-time champion of the Stone Pine Fantasy Football League, and I think they got tired of me taking all the money, even though I paid for pizza at the draft party both years. Kind of, you remember this harkens back way back when you were 10 or 11 or 9 years old, whatever you were, and we had the draft party at the Hudson Country Club.
Yep.
And I took you with me. You were a young lad under my wing, and we had that white tablecloth, and we're sitting around there drafting, and everybody had their libation, and Griff orders a kitty cocktail with some kind of red grenadine in there and cherries on top. And I had to leave for a meeting for a couple rounds of the draft. And as I left, I said, Griff, when I come back, I do not want to see anything red spilled all over this tablecloth. And you had endeared yourself to those because your knowledge of the draft was impeccable. And those guys were pretty impressed with you. And when I came back and opened the door, the first thing I saw was red spilled all over the tablecloth. Before I could get a single word out of my mouth, 10 grown men from Stone Pine stood up and said, give the kid a break. He's making a hell of a draft here. He had one little slip, and don't let it get to you. And so they had your back all the way from here to Timbuktu. So that's a good memory for us.
Yeah, that was my introduction to fantasy football there, right? I always remember when the members of the league would bring gifts for different players. So if you selected a certain player, you might get all kinds of various gifts. And the one that stuck with me is he had tissue paper, like Kleenex for Fred Taylor, because he was a little bit soft there that way. So he had good ones like that, Pepto Bismol and things and so forth. So
What
maybe
would you
we'll
have
have to
for
get
Aaron
together for
Rodgers?
what's that?
What would you have for a gag gift for Aaron
Oh, you'd
Rodgers
have a little
on the draft?
concoction of some
Maybe some
South
ayahuasca.
African tea. It would be quite an
Yeah,
experiment there.
that would be the kind of thing that Commissioner Benowitz would do.
Yeah, exactly right. Well, thanks guys for joining us here. We'll reconvene after the Bears game to hash things out and see where things stand after one more week here. Take care and have a good night, guys.
Go Pack.
Be good, boys. And his father shoveled horse shit all the days. When the lad was very young, they found a diamond in the dung, and they sent him off to college just to play. Hail, hail, hail to Master Beta. Lift your thunder mugs on high. And we'll drink another glass to the biggest horse's ass in the Brotherhood of Beta Theta Chi. Go Beta boys!